If you've been following my channel for any length of time, then you know I have been teasing you for a good couple of years. I will admit, but hey, we've been documenting these Tory civil wars, the infighting, the blue on blue, ever since the days of Boris Johnson, because as I rightly said back then, that Boris was just a piece of wallpaper that was covering the crack behind the wall, and no matter how much wallpaper you put on it or the type of wallpaper you put on it, that crack's still going to be there. It's going to get bigger. The wallpaper will eventually split. I described Boris Johnson as the ultimate balancing act, trying to balance the needs of the leveling up versus global Britain. And balancing act he could never, ever keep up. And eventually he fell. He failed. Civil war, pushing different Tories, pushing their ideologies, always pushing. And, you know, even when Rishi Sunak came in and said, this is it, I'm being the sensible, you know, nice Tory, even then they were waiting, looking for opportunities to get rid of him. Even before the general election, there was a plot to try and replace Rishi Sunak somehow at the 11th hour to try and avoid the general election. And now, just this morning, we've had a piece by Suella Braverman, which I am counting as the first shot fired. This is the first shot of the Tory Civil War. Make no mistake, Suella Braverman, of what we're about to see, is putting forward her case. If she survives tomorrow, if on Friday morning she is still there, expect Suella Braverman to be one of the people throwing their hat in the ring, just as Penny Mordaunt, even Kimmy Badenoch, and of course, also been reported by Sky News today. Oh, I've got Kimmy Badenoch. I've got nothing to do with a website domain registered with Kemi for PM, right? God, but yeah, honestly, the coming Tory civil wars are going to be fun. It is going to be constant blue on blue, and especially, my word, just my word. But anyway, before we do get into this, please go out and vote tomorrow. If you do have a postal vote, remember you can take it to your election office and hand it in to the election officer there. You'll just have to sign something and you can then hand it over to them. That will count as your vote. So if you do have that, you can do that. Remember your IDs tomorrow because you will need one. And of course, you know, we'll be live streaming tomorrow evening from about maybe 9:30 onwards to catch all the fun of the fair and the games that are going to probably play out and all the drama that's going to come forward. But on, of course, to the real drama. That is the Tory Civil War that is probably, like I say, on Friday, going to be in absolute full swing. So before we do getting into this, please do remember to click on the like, the share button, and if you're new, hit the subscribe button. And of course, down below, there's the Patreon page, the Buy Me Coffee link, where you can, well, buy me coffee, the YouTube thank you button, and of course, there's the YouTube subscription, the Pony Club, you can join down below as well. And of course, next Wednesday, 'tis the 100th episode of the Pony Club. So look forward to that. So let's crack on, of course, into this. This was Suella Braverman on this, saying that the election battle is now over. The fight to save the Tories starts now. So, the former Home Secretary says the party now needs to rediscover its soul and move back to the right to reconnect with voters. Move back to the right? The Tory party over the years has just moved ever and ever further right. You couldn't be more right now with the Tory party than anything else. And big reason why they have lost a lot of votes, big reason, if any of the Tories are seriously honest, it has been this ever increasing rightward momentum that they have been doing and they have been going in. We've said this as well for a while. They are just going to be complete navel gazing at themselves, just continuously flirting with the right wing. But anyway, let's continue this. So Braverman has declared the election battle over and has said that the fight to save the Conservative Party from extinction must now begin. The former Home Secretary said that the party needed to rediscover its soul. Oh, we've already said that. Writing in the Telegraph, she has claimed that the failure to change course would now allow Keir Starmer a clear run at destroying our country for good. She's also said that the threat of Reform UK, saying that the Tories are now hemorrhaging voters to Nigel Farage's party after moving too close to the centre. Really? This is how bad I think the Tories are now getting at politics, that they are looking at their own party, a party that has moved very distinctly towards the right over the past couple of years, and saying they've been moving too close to the centre. This is why the fight in the Tory wars to come are just going to be insane, absolutely insane. Anyway, her comments also came as a new opinion poll showed the gap now to Labour narrowing slightly and a drop in Reform support. Again, don't want to believe that because there's a lot of others that said otherwise, but never mind. However, Keir's party Starmer still leads the Tories by at least 19 points, leaving it on course for a very comfortable majority. Braverman, another fierce critic of Sunak, who resigned from the cabinet over his stance on illegal migration, has also been touted now as a future leadership contender if the Conservatives are defeated. In what may be an interpretation as an early pitch for the role, she said, "One needs to read the writing on the wall. It's over. We need to prepare for the reality and frustration of opposition. The fight for the soul of the Conservative Party will determine whether we allow Starmer a clear run at destroying our country for good or having a chance to redeem it in due course. Indeed, it will decide whether our party continues to exist at all." Oh, this is going to be so interesting on this. Sunak is expected to resign as Tory leader if his party loses the election, which will start a scramble over who will become his successor. Oh, it's going to be more than a scramble. It's going to be more than a scramble. Braverman, currently projected to hold her seat of Hampshire and of Fareham and Waterlooville, even in a Labour landslide, would be one of the most prominent candidates of the Tory right. She said that while still hoping for victory, there needs to be a searingly honest post-match analysis. Yeah, and if there was, right, remember when we talked about Will asking, "Are we the baddies?" If there seriously was to be a serious scolding post-match analysis, it's not going to say the things that Suella Braverman would say or what she would want to hear. That is not going to happen. In the event of this expected election defeat, and now they admitted the rise of Reform, not too far behind the Tories in the polls, was entirely now our own fault. She said that we failed to cut immigration or tax or to deal with the net zero and the woke policies that we have presided over for 14 years. Immigration. Why have they failed to cut immigration? Well, they're the ones who absolutely gutted the Home Office. If you're going to cut tax, then you have to say what the government isn't going to do anymore, which has led to big public backlash. And of course, we saw what happened when Liz Truss tried that. And then net zero. Why, again, the fixation on the idea that net zero is seen as like a national bad thing to do. It's really not. It is an incredibly good thing we should do, and we should absolutely be going forward for it. And we've got probably a government coming in soon that is for net zero, that is actually going to start pushing us in that direction. That is going to be very, very good indeed. And then woke policies. What woke policies? I probably think she means the Human Rights Act. And the Tories, bear in mind, have been saying stuff that they're going to like get rid of the Human Rights Act for years. They've never even gone near it. Because again, I think they know the mass outcry that would follow. But she continues. She says, I don't agree with everything that with Mr. Farage on everything, but we, the Tories, need to reflect honestly and with humility to ask ourselves how a startup party with very little infrastructure has now galvanized the electorate and lured so many of our lifelong supporters. Oh, that's very easy. That's very easy. It's not reform. It's not reform. It's you guys. And you aren't. If you asked yourself those questions, those hard, deep searing questions, it's got nothing to do with reform. It's everything within your own party. It's everything that you have been following, this hard, free market fundamentalist ideology, which Braverman would absolutely love to go down. They are not going to ask whether it is their ideology that is the problem. This is why I think you are going to get differing accounts, like differing, shall we say, aftermatch reports. In the wake of the 1997 defeat, there were stepping stones. After this, I think you could very easily see 2 or 3. I think you could very easily see 2 or 3 after action reports, shall we say, and the Tories are going to go with the one they think is most closely aligned with what they want, not the one that probably says, well, actually, you didn't do this, this, and this, and this was really bad, and this happened. They're not going to listen to that. Like I say, just a couple of days ago, why do you think that guy went after Rory Stewart so hard? Because Rory Stewart was pointing out all the failures of the Tory party, saying, well, this went wrong, we didn't do this, we didn't, completely shooting the messenger. So she continues. She says millions of Tories and voters simply aren't wrong. In house after house, lifelong Conservatives are now furious at our party. At worst, they feel betrayed and politically homeless. Yes, done so by you guys, not, not by Farage and co. They've got nothing to do with that. She continues to say, we may lose hundreds of excellent MPs because of our inability to have foreseen this inevitability months ago, that our failure to unite the right would destroy us. You've had 14 years in power to see this coming. It wasn't rocket science that this was coming, but there you go. So an MRP, a multi-level regression and post-stratification poll, published by Subversion on Thursday, predicted that the Tories would win just 64 seats. God, that would be wonderful. That would be wonderful if that happened. Like I say, we'll find out tomorrow. So a heavy defeat obviously might start a very, very bitter battle for the political future of the direction of the Tory party, with a large number of MPs now expected to compete for leadership. Oh boy, will they compete. Oh boy, it is going to be brutal, regardless of the scale of the loss. I mean, the deeper the loss, the worse it's going to be. But the Tories are headed to war. Like, the Tories are headed to a civil war we ain't seen the likes of before. And it is going to be brutal, bloody, and God knows what else is going to end up happening on this. But oh boy, is it going to be fun. On the right, Robert Jerrick, who's the immigration minister under Braverman, is now widely anticipated to run. We've talked about Jerrick before. Priti Patel, yep, of course. They may now face competition from centrist candidates such as Grant Shapps, Tom Tugendhat. We've talked about them before as well. Kimi Badnoch, heavily tipped, of course. She's going to run. A potential, quote, unity candidate who could lead the party in opposition. I love it when they go, oh, but we've got a unity candidate. Well, here's the thing. These unity candidates eventually have to come down on one side. And You can't say, well, I'm going to support them in this and then support them in this and try this balancing act, because then you end up being pulled between the two. You end up in the state of Rishi Sunak being unable to actually do anything, because if you do one thing that the hard right of the party says, all your centrist MPs, the One Nation people, go, we ain't doing that. And then you get potentially someone like Theresa May, also a unite candidate. What happened to Theresa May? The right wing of the party absolutely destroyed her and blocked her at every single moment. If she becomes a unity candidate, she ain't gonna last long. So yeah. Tory Civil War, Friday, July the 5th. It is all going to kick off. And Braverman, in saying this, in putting this out, I think has really, really been the first one to fire the shot. She is getting out early. She is following and using the Liz Truss playbook that if you get out early, and if you make a big splash in your leadership push, you can have a lot of advantages. And Braverman absolutely needs that, especially potentially if Badenoch survives. Bear in mind, there's a poll come out recently that said that she might not win. So who knows? Who knows what results we're going to see tomorrow? But oh boy, is it going to be fun? So until then, of course, we'll see you on the live stream on not only tonight, but of course on election night as well. So we'll see you then. And of course, as always, we'll see you all very soon.